Welcome to part 2 of a two-part series entitled The Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer, Vegetarian, the Peaceful Genius. In 1949, he was featured on the front cover of Time magazine, which dubbed him the greatest man in the world. Former Prime Minister of the UK, His Excellency Sir Winston Churchill, called him a genius of humanity. In 1952, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Indeed, the Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer was a brilliant polymath whose personal philosophy revolved around what he called reverence for life. A vegetarian, theologian, musician, author, missionary, and medical doctor, he dedicated his life and his remarkable abilities to serve those in need and to speak up for peace. As we learned in part 1, the Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer and his wife Ellen Breslau Schweitzer established a hospital in Lambaréné, Gabon. The region had been struck by numerous tropical maladies and the people were living in meager conditions with insufficient health care. During their first 9 months, the Schweitzers treated over 2,000 patients. While traveling by boat on the Ogooué River to visit a patient, a profound phrase occurred to Dr. Albert Schweitzer: reverence for life. This became Dr. Schweitzer's unifying term for a concept of ethics. Dr. Schweitzer said, man's ethics must not end with man, but should extend to the universe. He believed that humankind should value morals and helping others, and that we should live for a higher purpose. Dr. Schweitzer wrote elaborately about this principle and exemplified it in his own life. He said,
Ich kann nicht anders, als Ehrfurcht zu haben, vor allem, was man Leben nennt. Ich kann nicht umhin, Mitgefühl mit allem zu haben, was man Leben nennt. Das ist der Anfang und das Fundament der Ethik.
Reverence for life requires love and respect for all beings, human and non-human alike, for everything on earth is equally sacred. Dr. Albert Schweitzer became a vegetarian and refused to kill any living thing, including insects. He said,
Wir müssen ankämpfen gegen den Geist der unbewussten Grausamkeit, mit dem wir die Tiere behandeln. Die Tiere leiden genau wie wir. Wahre Menschlichkeit erlaubt uns nicht, ihnen solche Leiden aufzuerlegen. Es ist unsere Pflicht, dafür zu sorgen, dass die ganze Welt das erkennt. Solange wir unser Mitgefühl nicht auf alle Lebewesen ausdehnen, wird die Menschheit keinen Frieden finden.
After going back to Europe and staying there for several years, Dr. Albert Schweitzer returned to Lambaréné in 1924 to rebuild the hospital on a new site. Dr. Schweitzer devoted the rest of his life to the development of the hospital. His daughter, Rena, trained as a laboratory technician so that she too could work there with her parents. The hospital was slowly expanded to consist of a myriad of different buildings. Other European doctors and nurses were recruited, and by the early 1960s, the hospital could welcome over 500 patients at any given time. The hospital became widely known, and patients came from great distances by canoe along the river or by trekking through the jungle, sometimes arriving exhausted and starved. Nonetheless, they often brought a gift of whatever they could spare in exchange for the help they would receive. Treatment was always free of charge. The entire project was financed with the money Dr. Schweitzer earned himself by regularly giving benefit concerts and lectures on culture and ethics in Europe, as well as with donations that came to him from across the world. Year after year, Dr. Albert Schweitzer and his hospital staff worked continuously to create a Garden of Eden around the hospital. Fruit trees were in abundance and everyone could help themselves to the produce. Every day around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, able-bodied inhabitants of the community were called to work. Tools were distributed for them to participate in carpentry, construction, and general duties to build new homes for patients with long-term illnesses. There were a multitude of animals roaming freely on the hospital grounds. This beautiful hospital was later named the Albert Schweitzer Hospital. Let's take a few moments to contemplate on the divine within. We'll be right back here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to the Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer, Vegetarian, The Peaceful Genius, Part 2 of 2. At Lambaréné, Dr. Schweitzer was first and foremost a doctor and surgeon, but he did not limit his involvement to this already challenging position. For 40 years, Dr. Albert Schweitzer not only ran the hospital for the citizens of Gabon, but he also helped to create a community for about 600 people by being their teacher and working alongside them. The Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer continued to write scholarly books, comment on contemporary history, and host countless visitors. He also maintained his work as a well-respected organist and musical theorist. In the following footage, Dr. Schweitzer introduces the organ that he helped build at his home church in the Alsatian village of Gunsbach, France.
Die Orgel dieser meiner Heimatkirche ist nicht mehr die alte, auf der ich als Knabe spielte. Die jetzige ist dann später nach meinen Plänen und unter meiner Aufsicht erbaut worden. Ich habe immer neue Freude an dieser Orgel. Der Intonateur will sich hier einfinden, um einigen kleinen Mängeln in der Stimmung der Register abzuhelfen.
From the early 1950s onward, Dr. Schweitzer worked tirelessly to abolish nuclear weapons, adding his voice to the likes of fellow Nobel laureate and vegetarian Dr. Albert Einstein. This brilliant life of selfless service, powered by boundless faith and compassion for all sentient beings, earned Dr. Albert Schweitzer worldwide recognition. In 1928, he was presented the Goethe Prize of Frankfurt. He also received honorary doctorates from numerous universities, highlighting one or another of his countless achievements. In 1952, Dr. Albert Schweitzer was awarded the prestigious Nobel Peace Prize for his philosophy of reverence for life. Due to his obligations at the hospital, he could not attend the award ceremony. The following year, he delivered his heartfelt Nobel speech entitled The Problem of Peace, given in French during his visit to Oslo, Norway.
Le point de départ pour mes réflexions me sera fourni par un exposé de la situation telle qu'elle se présente à l'issue des deux guerres.
During his speech, Dr. Schweitzer emphasized the importance of all individuals and collective nations to turn to the true nature of the Spirit and to the true ethics of compassion in order to ensure peace and progress to a higher form of existence.
Des mesures décisives pour la cause de la paix doivent être entreprises et des résultats décisifs acquis, et cela à bref délai. De cela aussi, l'Esprit seul est capable. L'Esprit peut-il réaliser effectivement ce que dans notre détresse nous sommes obligés d'attendre de lui? Il ne faut pas sous-estimer sa force, car c'est lui qui se manifeste à travers l'histoire de l'humanité. C'est lui qui a créé cet humanitarisme qui est à l'origine de tout progrès vers une forme d'existence supérieure. Il est convaincu que la compassion, dans laquelle l'éthique prend sa racine, ne gagne sa véritable étendue et profondeur que si elle ne se limite pas aux hommes, mais s'étend à tous les êtres vivants. À côté de l'ancienne éthique, manquant de cette profondeur et de la force de conviction est venue se placer l'éthique du respect de la vie, et elle se fait de plus en plus reconnaître comme valable.
Dr. Schweitzer used the Nobel Prize money of approximately $33,000 to help build the much-needed leprosarium at Lambaréné for his 250 leprosy patients. He explained more during an interview provided by the National Audiovisual Institute.
Il n'y avait pas de village de lépreux. Les lépreux avaient quelques petites cases parmi les autres, mais c'est seulement alors que j'ai pris la décision, en 1953, de créer un village des lépreux.
Vous avez mis combien de temps pour le faire?
2 ans. D'abord, j'ai dû créer le terrain, n'est-ce pas, parce qu'il fallait le surélever pour qu'il y ait un peu d'air, et alors j'ai construit le village. Et alors, quand je me demandais avec quoi j'allais faire les toits, j'ai eu le prix Nobel, et alors j'ai pu faire volatiliser la tôle et couvrir mes toits.
Comme d'habitude, c'est vous-même qui avez dessiné les plans.
Je n'étais souvent pas dessiné, on les a dessinés par terre.
Ils viennent poser devant la caméra comme les habitants de n'importe quel village paisible.
Les lépreux restent combien de temps ici?
Il y en a qui restent toute leur vie. Des pauvres vieux restent toute leur vie parce qu'ils ne savent pas où aller.
Et vous les gardez?
Je les garde. Ils font un peu de travail. Et alors les autres partent quand ils se sentent guéris et ils reviennent tous les 6 mois pour qu'on les voie.
The Reverend Albert Schweitzer left this world on September 4, 1965, at the age of 90. He was buried at Lambaréné, the town that he so loved, where a cross that he made himself adorns his grave on the banks of the Uguay River. World famous for his medical missionary work at the Albert Schweitzer Hospital, his musical mastery, and his reverence for life philosophy, Dr. Albert Schweitzer's legacy continues to live on. His daughter, Rena, and his medical associates continued developing the Albert Schweitzer Hospital, modernizing the facilities with about 70 buildings and attracting dedicated and talented medical staff from around the world. Several organizations have also been formed in his honor. The Albert Schweitzer Animal Welfare Fund was established in 1981 to support projects to safeguard animals. The Albert Schweitzer Foundation, an animal protection organization, was founded in 2000 based on Dr. Schweitzer's reverence for life maxim and advocates the cruelty-free, life-saving vegan lifestyle. With sincere gratitude in our hearts, We pray that Dr. Albert Schweitzer's exceptional generosity and unbending devotion continues to inspire others to use their God-given talents for the benefit of our fellow earthlings. In closing, we leave you with a quote from the Reverend Dr. Albert Schweitzer.
Man muss etwas, und sei es noch so wenig, für diejenigen tun, die Hilfe brauchen. Etwas, was keinen Lohn bringt, sondern Freude, es tun zu dürfen.
Esteemed viewers, it was a great pleasure to have your company today.